Hey, what's up, locker room? Hey, we got another one. We got another one. Another coach gone. Benito cut, sent to the Wolves. That's right. Kelly Bryant fired at LSU, right? It seemed like this was kind of brewing. It seemed like this was coming. It seemed like this was in the works, right? It seemed like it was only a matter of time that this was going to happen, right? It happened, right? And now the LSU head coaching job search begins, right? And we add another hot coaching seat to the coaching search mix, right? Athletes Forum Podcast, please drop a comment. Let's talk about this one, all right? Hey, y'all remember, if you watched the SEC documentary on Netflix, y'all remember when Mr. Weeks and Garrett Nussmeier having a conversation about Garrett making the decision whether to come back or not? Y'all remember what Weeks said in that documentary? Let me remind you.
Rolling at the end of the year, carried into next year.
I just told him, I was like, dude, if you come back, we're winning the Natty.
Got him! Got him!
Like, there's no doubt in my mind, like, next year is LSU's year.
Oh!
Well, that's not what happened. That's clearly not what happened, right? Brian Kelly is going to LSU, right? Blown out win versus Texas A&M this past weekend, right? Getting harassed in the pocket by Cassius Howell on Texas A&M, Mr. Hey, they put it on them, all right? LSU was winning at some point in this game. It wasn't really, it didn't really feel like a true victory was on the horizon, for the Tigers. They always seemed like they were going to blow it at some point, and they did. Obviously, we saw what happened in that second half, right? And then it led to obviously the chants in the stadium, fire Kelly, right? And they did. They got rid of Kelly. You think about hindsight's always got to be 2020, but you think about where Kelly has come from and the coaches that have been to LSU, right? We're talking about Nick Saban. We're talking about Les Miles. We're talking about Ed Orgeron, all coaches who won national championships at LSU, right? And then what does LSU do after letting go Coach Ed Orgeron, paying him to go away, right? They go up to Notre Dame. They hire Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, formerly University of Cincinnati coach before going to Notre Dame, formerly Notre Dame head coach before coming to LSU, right? He came to LSU because he had all the resources here, right? He had everything here. He didn't have at Notre Dame. Meanwhile, Marcus Freeman is taking Notre Dame to the Natty and competing. It's not like when Brian Kelly went to the Natty versus Alabama that one time in the Orange Bowl, the Manti Te'o Notre Dame team and got embarrassed, right? So Brian Kelly, again, hindsight always 2020. Was he ever really the good fit, right? We always talk about him not embracing the culture, not embracing the LSU, not winning Louisiana, losing some top talent in Louisiana, right? He never brought in the soil, right? He never made LSU. He never made Louisiana home, right? Now he's gonna get paid $53.8 million over the course of years, but that's what comes with the job, right? You talk about Brian Kelly, a coach that went 34-14 throughout his tenure, at LSU. But even though he went 34-14, never made the playoffs, right? Never was really in, a national title, situation, right? 20-2 at night games at LSU when that's supposed to be Death Valley, right? A fraudulent win versus Clemson. Now that, again, hindsight 2020 that we could take a look at. You think at losing the USC last year in their opener, right? How much was he even invested, right? How much was he even invested? His best recruit was probably landing Janet Daniels, right? And that came from the transfer portal, who ended up winning the Heisman, right? So again, despite his winning record at LSU, Kelly didn't really. He wasn't really an LSUer, right? You think about Nick Saban, who wanted to go to LSU. You think about Les Miles eating the grass at LSU. You think about Ed Orgeron, who could recruit his ass off, right? Winning over LSU, right? Go Tigers, right? You talk about the culture and the teams that these guys, were able to recruit, right? Kelly didn't do that. Kelly didn't do that. There was issues in the culture. There was issues with communication. There was issues with defense one year. You bring in Billy Baker, it seems to be fixed, but now you got issues on the offensive side where Kelly essentially really cut his teeth, right? The offensive output was just lackluster. Garrett Nussmeier lost money, right? He came in as two potential quarterbacks going into the draft, lost money this year, right? He never really panned out to forming what his potential could be or what it should have been, right? The expectations at LSU are extremely high. This is a program that expects to win a national title, expects to be in that Alabama type, frame, and just never got there, right? Kelly, never delivered on, stability or, never really delivered on, winning the commitment. You think about what has he really done from the recruiting field, right? Well, he lost Bryce Underwood, right? He lost some of the other top talents in Louisiana going to places like, LSU, USC, right? Some bad losses this year, right? This is a team that never really looked dominant, right? You think about a team that has talent, right? That has, especially on that defense. That defense did a 360, right? At least in the beginning, right? So again, Brian Kelly is out at LSU, right? So where does LSU go from here? Who is their coach? Who should they look out for? There's a couple names I could throw out you, but we all know the top names you're going to hear, right? What Lane Kiffin is to Florida right now, that's what Marcus Freeman is going to be at LSU. That's right. LSU will dive back and try to go to Notre Dame to get the former head coach, right? I don't think he'll leave. And if he doesn't leave for this job, he's not leaving for any job, right? So who are some other names to keep an eye on? Personally, John Summerall, Tulane. I think he'd be a good fit for LSU. He doesn't even have to leave the state. He has a foundation in LSU, maybe a bigger foundation that Kelly really never had at LSU, right? Who are some other names that you could kind of throw out here? Well, call me crazy. I go after Gus Malzahn, right? Gus Malzahn, you saw what he did at Auburn. He's going to have more and better resources at LSU to compete against the Alabamas, right? So I would go after a guy like Gus Malzahn, right? And it depends what route they want to go. They go established coach, or they're looking to make this a first, time job for a newbie, right? So I gave you John Summerall, I gave you Gus Malzahn. What about what's his name from Alabama, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb? What about Ryan Grubb, right? If you can't beat him, join him. And what better place it would be than to go in your backyard and get someone like that, right? I don't think this is a James Franklin situation. I don't even think this is maybe like a Jimbo situation, right? I don't think this is a Lane Kiffin situation. I think if you're a go to that type of coach, I think you'll try Freeman, right? I like Gus Malzahn. That's why I picked him. So it's going to be interesting to see what LSU does here. As a Florida fan, I can, agree this is probably the best coaching job right now. I think Florida, then Penn State goes next. But call me crazy if you think otherwise in that order. But LSU is back on the market. LSU is looking for a head coach. What does LSU do going forward, right? You lost the fan base. You lost the alumni. Really, you lost your swag, right? I remember the LSU Tigers. I used to, be itching to come out that tunnel, right? Where is that LSU, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out, where they go. But Brian Kelly is gone at LSU. And to be honest, probably long overdue, right? Absolutely Fun Podcast. Drop a comment. You let me know what you guys think and subscribe to the channel, right? We're talking college football.